The Wellness Show, Episode 67.
Welcome to The Wellness Show, a podcast on health and wealth. I'm your host, Tyson Bannigan, the founder of the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy. Join me as we get the latest insight, tips, and strategies from wellness providers, coaches, and successful, heart-centered entrepreneurs, and much, much more. Welcome to the Wellness Show, and on the call today we have Diana Allen, who's focusing on helping people clear their DNA. This comes about from an experience that she had in 1987. So could you tell us about how that got you started in this quest for understanding?
Oh, I certainly could, Tyson, and thank you for having me on your show. And I was sleeping for a very long time, so I had this very rude awakening. And that propelled me into healing modalities that basically I had never even heard of before. So I did lots of studying and apprenticing and did this fast track. And now I have worked with people in 25 countries on 5 continents, teaching people how to be their own healer. I believe that it's really important that we all learn to access this innate. We all have our own wisdom inside of us, and we haven't been taught that. We've been taught to go outside of ourselves for the answers.
So you're saying then that our own healing potential is all within us, and that when we tap into that, we can pretty well rectify anything that's showing up in our lives?
Definitely. I don't think any dis-ease is chronic. We have been led to believe that it's chronic. I've worked with people with Lyme's disease, with MS, with all sorts of structural problems. I also assist a person in doing a body alignment so that you actually would never have to go to a chiropractor again. Very easy alignment to learn.
And so how do you go about and do these types of alignments then?
Oh, the alignment is a process, and I actually have taught it to my 11-year-old granddaughter, and she does body alignments on her mother. So this is something that I teach in my webinars. I teach people how to, first of all, communicate with their bodies. A lot of people don't think that they can talk to their body other than berate it for not being the way they want it to be, and move into loving kindness and make a huge difference in their lives.
Yeah, I can understand that. And many people are just operating on what I call automatic pilot and wondering why their body is in rebellion. So you work really on the level of the DNA. So tell me a little bit more about that.
I do. So the DNA is our cellular memory, and we can access that. And the process that I've created, you actually talk to the cells of your body, and our bodies actually get really excited because our body has wanted us to communicate for a really long time. And so I can almost hear when people begin this kind of process, their body goes, yay, yay, she finally is paying attention to me. I've been going like this for a long time.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. What I tell my clients is, the language of the body is really quite limited. On one end it has joy, and on the other end it has pain. And, it's got a limited language, and in that range, it's trying to communicate to us and to get off automatic pilot and have this conversation. So I think that's very exciting. So how do you help people have this conversation with their body?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that our bodies will symptomize if we are not paying attention to our messages. So then, first of all, say it could be headaches. And the person is going, oh, well, there seems to be a breeze here, but I have this headache. And then they don't delve deeper into what is the cause, what is the root cause of this? And so then something else could happen. Say, for instance, that they haven't looked at the trauma that has happened in their childhood. So then as that moves along, then some other dis-ease could be created. So because the body, the soul, and the body, all the bodies, the mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual bodies are all working together for our expanded awareness. And when we don't do that, then the messages start getting stronger. So you will have people who have car accidents or life-threatening. I worked with a woman in Detroit, and she had been diagnosed with MS. The doctor told her, number one, she would wear orthotics for the rest of her life. When I met her, she was walking with a cane and was almost dead. And she was wearing trifocals. I didn't even know there were trifocals. There were 5, and that was it. So now she realized from doing this work that she had looked after everybody else and not herself. So finally her body just said, I'm done, I'm finished. You don't
I'm out of here. Yeah, if you're not paying attention to me, I'm vacating the premises. You know, in some ways it's the other way around too, isn't it? Is that most people aren't even in their bodies. Most people don't know what it is to be in their body. I think maybe because it's too scary, or maybe because it hurts too much, or maybe because they don't know what it feels like to be in their body. But yeah, helping people get back in their body is important.
I was a prime example of that because I was adopted as a baby, and I went from a 14-year-old mother to a 38-year-old mother who was actually physically abusive.
Oh my goodness.
Which I had no idea until I started doing all my therapy work. So I wasn't in my body. I have 4 memories of my whole life until I'm 12 years old, 13 years old. I have four memories.
Wow.
The rest, who knows, out there somewhere.
Right.
So for me to, first of all, I needed to realize that I was out of my body, and then how do I get myself in?
Yeah,
I worked with a lot of.
So were you in a lot of pain then? Or you didn't even know that you were in pain? Or did you?
I had no idea my mother had ever hit me.
Right. So that was a way of, as a little girl, making yourself safe by not being in your body in order for you to cope, right?
Exactly. And that's the reason for disassociation. Yeah.
Right. So how do you help people come back to their bodies?
Well, in the process that I've developed to assist people in clearing from the DNA. So for instance, if somebody realizes that they were disassociating, then we would clear all the times that they have disassociated. And then they say this method that I have created, and then I actually sing. I bring through sound that is specific for the person or for a group of people. And then the person sees what's happened in their body. Lots of times cold energy is released or some pain is released. And then it's also a reconnection. If you're not in your body, most people are cut off here. Mm-hmm. So how do you get yourself back into your body and then into your heart?
Yes.
Into your face.
Well, so it sounds like that this all came from your own personal experience, right? From your own overcoming your own trauma. So what guided you to do this? Or was it a specific methodology, or did you have an aha experience, or, you know, a blinding flash of lightning, or what?
No, it felt a bit like lightning. It wasn't.
No, it wasn't. Okay.
Because I went to a program called The Pursuit of Excellence.
What was it called?
Did you ever hear? Pursuit of Excellence.
Oh, Pursuit of Excellence. Okay, yes.
Yes. So Peggy Merlin was the facilitator. She got my number so fast. And so at one point she said to me, if you don't ask for what you really want in your life, how do you ever think you're going to get it? And I looked at her and I thought, is this woman? Who is she? Tell me what to do. And then on the Saturday, she came up to me and she said, I get mixed messages from you. On one hand, I see this very confident person, and I also see another person. And then she just walked away. And I'm standing there absolutely reeling, going, oh my God, somebody's seeing me in a place I've never seen myself. So this is what propelled me to start doing, because I had no idea I was even disassociated.
Right.
This was way beginning. So that propelled me, and I have enough fire energy when I get myself going. I just go like this. I knew that it was necessary for me to live my life in a different way than I had been for a very long time.
Well, I think that's exciting, you know, and very powerful when somebody can see who you are, or the potentiality of who you are as a, you know, a light being or a fully embodied being, and see where you are, and then help you understand that, you know, where you are and where you want to be, there's a gap that can be closed. So I'm assuming that that's really what you're helping your clients do, as well as see the gap and close the gap.
Exactly. So if you have any place in your life that you're not happy with what's going on, what old messages? It's basically, it's like defragging your computer. Our computers have to be upgraded every once in a while because we have all this old stuff.
Yeah.
It's the very same. So defrag, upgrade, imprint in new information, because that's at the end of the releasing, then we imprint in some new information that is more life affirming for you.
Yeah, and it's almost like when you dump the garbage can, you've got more room for more light or more of the divinity of you to flow in. Otherwise, you're stuck because you're sort of like you need a mind dump because there's too much going on in your head. Yeah, I think that what you're talking about is really, really important. So in your courses or on your webinars, you help people understand how to talk to their bodies, in particular, how to have a conversation with their DMA. Am I getting that right? Because you are focused on the DNA.
For the DNA. And when you had John Theobald on with the German New Medicine with Dr. Hammer's work, so I also incorporate Dr. Hammer's work. And John does all the up here stuff.
Yeah.
And I get down into, all right, so you have this going on. So let's see, I've got my book here. So say headaches. Lots of people get headaches. So a headache could be about self-criticism, overload, confusion, control, anxiety, or feeling impatient.
Yes.
And so that can be cleared out, because to be having a headache is not a very pleasant experience. So the headache itself has a message, and it's not to take a Tylenol or whatever, because then what you're doing is you're suppressing that energy back down into your body. So the next time, perhaps you might have a migraine, or it could start to escalate. When you're not paying attention.
Right. So your body's always sending you these messages, and it's our job to understand what these messages are so we can learn to act accordingly. And when we do, we're gifted with more energy and more vitality, more ability to show up, and I would think a lot more joy in our lives. So yeah, I mean, it's a pretty win-win. The body gets to have a joyful experience, and guess what? So do we. So
exactly.
Yeah. So tell me about this whole thing. Like you said, that you have some new thoughts around the causes of addictions and healing childhood traumas.
Do you know Dr. Gabor Mate? He's from Vancouver. He works on the downtown east side, and he works with addicts. No, you don't know him?
No, I don't know about him, no.
Okay. He's written a book called The Realms of the Hungry Ghosts. And he maintains that people who are addicted, they're not criminals as such. Our society's criminalized addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes back to childhood when the basic needs of love and support were not there. The childhood needs were not met. So one woman, I think in her book, said that every time she shot up heroin, that she felt this feeling of being enclosed in a blanket.
Yes.
So this is what she's looking for, this comfort, this nurturing that she never had and was never taught how to actually bring that to, because we all need to bring it to ourselves.
So that whole desire to be rocked and comforted, nurtured, and taken care of, if we don't get it from the parent, then we're always seeking for that, to feel that we're loved and wanted, nurtured, and taken care of. So that if we don't have that, then we sort of get stuck into that childhood desire to have that fulfilled. Am I understanding correctly?
Correct. That is correct.
So how...
And childhood trauma is so prevalent. There's inappropriate sexuality. There's mental. I don't really like to use the word abuse that much, but there's mental.
Yes.
Whatevers. And so all of this makes an impact on the child. And so it's to go back there and do that healing. And a lot of people say that they just want to live in the present and they don't want to go back. This kind of work that I do doesn't take you into a therapy that you hash everything over and over. I also have a therapist,
right,
me in psychotherapy. So you don't do that. This is really fast tracking.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. I mean, a lot of people believe that we somehow have to relive all of our traumas to release them, and that's not true. We don't even have to have a conscious thought about what they are. We just want to take that energetics out of our body, and whether it's through dance or through singing or whatever. And you were mentioning that you use sound. So could you actually how about just actually doing a demonstration? Because there's going to be many people on this call are wondering, well, how does that work? So can you give us a bit of a sense, like I'm sure we could all do with a good clearing to help us be more present in our body.
Okay. All right. So that's what we could clear then. Any and all times that I was not present in my body.
Great.
All right.
Yeah.
So everybody could clear that. So first of all, and then I'll get you to do the role playing if that's all right.
Okay.
Because what happens with me is that I feel cold air leaving a person's body. Oh, even over here, over the miles away. I'm in France, you're in Canada. Yeah. So I'll say the method first. So I give my cells permission, because we're speaking to our cellular memory, to release. You don't have to remember this, we'll break it down. To release and bring to consciousness, because we're bringing it from the subconscious mind. To release and bring to consciousness any and all times I was not present in my body. Held in my mental, emotional, physical, and intuitive bodies. I command, which is coming from the conscious left brain, the commander. I command and imagine brings in the subconscious mind, because if you don't have your imagination happening, you're not going anywhere, because our subconscious really is what rules us. So I command and imagine the limiting energies of not being present in my body be released now from my cellular memory and transmuted into golden light. And the reason that I transmute the energies into light before they're released is a lot of people will say, well, let's just release anger. well, it goes out into the collective. The collective has enough of that, so let's at least add to the light.
Mm-hmm.
And then I sing, and the singing comes through me like this. I do not know what it will be before I sing. And people have said they've seen native Indian chiefs walking behind me when I've been singing in groups. And so then you see what has happened for you. We talk about that, and then we imprint in some new information. Do we have time to do that?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So if you would repeat, and this is for everybody who is listening or watching this, that they can close their eyes if they feel comfortable doing that, and allow themselves to see what happens when this energy we're speaking to the cellular memory and we're telling it to do something. So whether you really believe this or not, it will happen because your cells are waiting for you. I give my cells permission.
I give my cells permission
To release and bring to consciousness.
to release and bring to consciousness
Any and all times.
any and all times
I have not been present in my body.
all the times I've not been present in my body,
Held in my mental,
held in my mental,
emotional,
emotional,
physical,
physical,
and intuitive bodies.
and intuitive bodies.
I command and imagine
I command and imagine
the limiting energies
the limiting energies
of not being in my body
of not being in my body
be released now
be released now
from my cellular memory
from my cellular memory
and transmuted into
and transmuted into
golden light.
golden light.
Okay, so now I'm going to sing and everybody sees what happens and feels what happens for them.
Well, that cleared the cobwebs out.
So either it's you or it's somebody who will be listening and watching this has energy stuck in their throats, because usually I pretty much pick up on people when they have their throat chakras cleared down or closed down. So what did you feel in your body, if you felt anything?
I felt that I was in the middle of a native ceremony, and I found it very, very powerful. I guess I was just carried on the sound. And so I don't know if I was really in my body. I know that was the goal, but I was really experiencing out of my body, and maybe that's because I was clearing all the out times that I was out of my body. So it felt very etheric, a very, very First Nations, and very, very much something that I can relate to through this life and past lives. So I found it very, very powerful. And like I said, it's maybe the Spider Woman. It cleared the cobwebs out of my brain, right? It really did bring clarity to consciousness. So it was more of a mind thing, although I think you're right that, in the voice, in the voice box, is a lot of our trauma of being able to show up and speak our truth. So I can understand
Yeah.
that, when I think about what you just did, then that's the gateway. You were talking about how we get stuck up here. Well, this is sort of the portal to allow us to accept that we are authentically can speak our truth, and then that allows us to re-embody ourselves with all of our spiritual energy that was disassociated. I have no idea whether that made any sense, but that's what's coming to me.
No, it did. And actually, especially women, I'm not saying that men don't have the issue with closing down their throats. Over millennia, it's the women who have really been suppressed. So I just need to clear my throat now.
And I guess that also means that the voice of Mother Earth, to being the divine feminine, has been suppressed as well, and it's time for her to speak as well.
Definitely. When I first started this kind of singing many years ago, and my First Nations friend said to me the song I was singing was the song that her grandmother had sung. And I looked at her and I said, as far as I know, it's not a song. And if you want, I'll sing for you. And I do have First Nations blood. I have Cree, and then from America, I have some Cherokee blood. And when I drum and sing, then you think the whole nation's coming.
Yeah, the whole tribe shows up. Yeah, I have a little bit of Cherokee somewhere in my ancestry too, but the whole nation shows up. And isn't that the power of the DNA, is that through the DNA and sounding your drum through the DNA, then your ancestors do show up. They truly do show up because they're part of the healing process too. So that when we heal, we get to heal our whole lineage, right? And our whole nation,
Exactly.
for that matter, our whole tribe.
Exactly. It's really powerful work, and it's work that is really important, and especially at this time in our evolution, that it's so important.
It absolutely is. So do you happen to have group processes? Like, do you have a women's group?
I have had 8-month-long webinars, which I don't have at the moment. And I will be starting some other groups, and they will be all over Zoom because of where, yeah.
So, so you're going to have groups. So what did you do in your webinars when you said it was 8 months long? Did you just meet every week, or how did it work?
Once a week.
Once a week.
Yes. And what I assisted these women in doing was clearing enough of their DNA, clearing their issues, and also teaching them so that now they can be their own healer. They have all the tools that they need to, when something comes up, because none of us are ever finished until we take our last breath.
Right.
And so today, I was clearing some electromagnetic frequencies from my body today because of me sitting in front of the computer for so long. And usually I feel that as cold air leaving. And as you know, I am also doing that online. And the next time, this is clearing the chemtrails, the EMFs, electromagnetic frequencies, the fluoride, the lithium, everything that's being sprayed in our environment, so that we can keep ourselves as healthy as possible, because the idea is that our immune systems are going to start tanking. And so it's so important that all of us have knowledge that we can, again, be our own healer, be proactive, take your healing abilities. We all have this ability. It isn't difficult. It's a commitment and a willingness to open up. never mind get out of the box. I have been so out of, there hasn't been a box around me
Right.
for a very long time. And that is so important for people to realize, rather than, how many people do you know are really numbed out? They watch TV, or they're not happy. They go to work, they come home, they have a couple of beers, and then they go to bed and they start all over again. That's not what life's about.
No, absolutely not. You know, zombies of the world unite. We don't need more zombies. We need more people to wake up. So how do people get hold of you? Because this is a very exciting body of information. And another question for you is that, do you work with men and women, or just mostly with women?
No, I work with men and women.
Right.
I have always worked with women.
Right. Okay, so your webinars, they have both men and women, right?
Lately, the webinars have only had women.
Yeah.
And I'm certainly open to having men and women. I've had groups of just men.
Right.
And I actually, I'm speaking with a fellow from England, and he is wanting to work with women. And many years ago, when I lived in Glastonbury, I met a hypnotherapist, and we talked about me working with men and then him working with women so that they could get their issues out with the other sex, and then we would bring them back together and do an integration, so that, because we all have masculine and feminine energies within our body that need to be aligned.
Absolutely.
So
Well, we're very close to the end of the show, and I agree, we do need to do this male-female alignment. So how do people get hold of you?
All right. I have a website, which I believe that you will put at the end, Diana Allen, shamanichealing.com. And then I have my email. I have Be Your Own Healer site on Facebook, and I hardly use Twitter. My promoting part is, this is where I am, almost feel like I'm falling down in this new way of being with the technology, because, well, just because.
Well, that sounds like a whole new story, and I love this part of the story. So thank you for being on the show. I greatly appreciate it, and I'm sure we'll talk again.
Okay, thank you, Tyson.
Bye-bye for now.
For quality online wellness products, courses, and services, visit our sponsors, thewellnessstore.ca and the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy located at thewellnessacademy.ca. To stay in touch, visit us at thewellnessshow.ca. And until next time, be healthy, wealthy, and wise.